All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Getting the Competitive Edge on New Construction. I am Nicholas Rapasardi. I am going to share this presentation, and if there are any questions along the way, don't hesitate to hit the space bar, unmute yourself, and ask a question. So who am I? Just to give you an idea of who I am and why I am doing what I'm doing. I got licensed in the state of Florida in 2009. I was in what we kind of term as general real estate, which is what we do, meaning I guess, we could sell anything commercial, residential, kind of just generally speaking. So from 2009 to 2013, I was in general real estate, kind of going from, if anyone remembers what the economy and the real estate market was like here in around 2009 and 10, that was quite interesting. So I kind of bounced around from brokerage to brokerage, trying to find my feet somewhere to land. And then in 2013, I was hired by Neal Communities as a new home sales rep. And one of the reasons why I did that was my sister was buying a home. She decided to buy a new home from Neal, and asking the on-site sales reps how they were doing, I asked them, how are your sales? What's going on? Like, oh, we're selling like, 2 or 3 a month. And I said, oh, total? And they said, no, each. And there were 2 of them in there, and to sell 2 or 3 homes in that economy in that time was pretty good. So I asked them if they were hiring, and they were. So I spoke to the sales manager, got hired by Neal, and worked there for a little over 2.5 years. One of the reasons why I realigned myself with general real estate, again, was during that time, there really wasn't any new construction competition. Neal's a local builder. A lot of the more established national builders had backed out, stopped building, or some of them even went under completely. So there really wasn't a lot of competition. So to sell a new home for Neal Communities was, it wasn't easy, but there wasn't a lot of competition. So my last community was in Central Park in Lakewood Ranch, and we were closing that community out for Neal. And as we were doing that, a lot of new communities started to pop up. Esplanade right down the street was starting to kind of ramp up a little more. Harmony by Mattamy started. Rosedale kind of started to jump back up again. So we were kind of surrounded by new construction, more competition. So a lot of folks would come in and ask for a certain lifestyle, floor plan, amenities. And if we didn't have it, I knew where it was, and I couldn't just hop in my car and go and help them. So I decided to realign myself. And in that process, it took me about a year to really plan it out. So my plan was to talk to a lot of the realtors that would come in and get to know them, and get to really understand how they operated, what their personality was like, what their business was like. And time again, this market center just stood out, by far stood out. So the day I decided to resign, I actually left Neal and went over to Lennar for a short period of time, hoping that maybe working for a national builder, a publicly traded builder, which is what I'll go into that in some more detail later on, would possibly be a different, more lucrative opportunity. And come to find out it wasn't. It was just still new home sales, still surrounded by competition. So after that, I said, it's the same gig, different builder. I'm gonna go back into general. And I didn't think twice about coming in here and signing all the docs to get my license hung under Keller Williams Realty Select. And that's really why I chose this particular market center, because of just the way a lot of the agents conduct themselves in business, which I think is just far above and beyond the way other market centers and brokerages conduct business. So why am I teaching this class? My past skills have definitely given me future opportunities and continue to do so. Um, and I'm here to basically share that with you guys today. I want to be able to share my past skills to the best of my ability to give you current and future opportunities. So I think from the get-go, know your builders. These are actually all the builders in Lakewood Ranch alone. Um, that's just Lakewood Ranch. That's not Sarasota, Bradenton, Northport. It's just Lakewood Ranch alone. So it can be overwhelming. I mean, I'm sure looking at this right now, you're saying there's no way I could get to know every one of these builders. And you're probably right. I don't know every one of these builders. I couldn't walk into Arthur Ruttenberg Homes and talk to someone directly. I could walk into Mattamy, Lennar, Neal, MI, Pulte, Meritage, Taylor Morrison, just to name a few, Del Webb, and actually know who these builders are and also know the on-site sales reps. Now that's just from me and my experience over the years. A lot of the on-site sales reps that I worked with stayed in new home sales, just switched builders, kind of like I did, but I decided to, again, realign myself. So I think the most important part is to know your builders in terms of the product that they build, know at least one on-site sales rep, and just broad stroke, know kind of like, MI is building in Woodleaf Hammock. And really the only way to know that is to just do some research and figure that out. Lennar is building in multiple spots around the ranch. They weren't really on the ranch for quite a while. Now they are. Just kind of know your broad stroke builders just to kind of have an idea of who's here. Because when Toll Brothers entered the market, they're a new builder to Lakewood Ranch, and they have one community as of now. And we had a few folks call us and ask us if Toll Brothers were building in Lakewood Ranch. Well, I had said no at first. Come to find out, they had announced 2 weeks before that they were actually going to start building in Lakewood Ranch. So, again, just broad stroke, know your builders. Again, know or at least have an idea of their floor plan, square footages, finishes, qualities, amenities. If someone says, I want to live in Lakewood Ranch, I don't want to pay an HOA at all or a huge HOA. I mean, there isn't a single community in here without some sort of HOA, but if you talk to them and discuss with them, what you're getting for the monthly or quarterly cost of an HOA, people may not want, the golf course, the spa, the bar, all these different things that come with that. They may not want a resort style living community. And knowing which ones are and are not resort style, and a little tip, know which ones are resort style. And once you know those, everyone else is not. Because there are only a few here that are really resort style. Esplanade, Lakewood National, just to name a few there. Those are more resort style communities. So be a wealth of knowledge as best you can. I always say seek to understand the desired lifestyle first, because some folks might really love a floor plan, but really don't want to pay $500 a month for a homeowners association. So I think if you seek to understand the desired lifestyle, the rest will follow. So if you know that someone wants the golf, wants the amenities, wants the activities, wants wants the gym, wants the social life, you'll know which ones are going to immediately qualify them for what they're looking for. I always highly encourage a buyer consultation. That really takes a lot of the mystery out of who you're, trying to service and help. My pathway to success with this is to sit down and do a buyer consultation with them. Usually actually pretty much every time after I do a buyer consultation with someone, I discover and already know which communities they're going to qualify for, which ones are going to make sense for them. And I usually grab a Lakewood Ranch map. And again, it doesn't have to be Lakewood Ranch. I'm kind of just focusing on that because there's so much going on here. It could be anywhere. You could focus your new home construction on anywhere in Sarasota, Manatee County, or wherever you want to focus your business on. But typically what I do is after my buyer consultation, I'll have the Lakewood Ranch map. I'll circle 2 or 3 communities that I know are going to work for them. When you bring them to the Lakewood Ranch Info Center, and they're a little bit limited on the details of the ranch and the history of, I think mainly because of COVID, you have to enter with a mask. You have to actually like ring a doorbell now. That info center used to be in 3 different places. Now it's centrally located on Main Street, right down the street from us here. So anyways, the Lakewood Ranch Info Center typically will go through what the ranch has to offer and then ask your buyers what they're looking for. And the great part is that once they tell them a couple of things, they go ahead and circle the same communities you circled. So then now you look like a rock star. You look like you are just a wealth of information. They're just solidifying what you already know and what you've already told them. So it's great to have them say, okay, you're looking for this community. This would work too. And they will appreciate that. They'll look at you or they'll thank you afterwards and just say, it really sets it into stone that you are a wealth of knowledge and you know what you're talking about and you're of value. And I mean, it's overwhelming. 22, this is actually recently updated too. 22 villages actively building new homes. Again, this is just Lakewood Ranch alone. 21 builders, 48 move-in ready homes. It was over 150. Their inventory, as we all know, has since dropped just across the board, just market wide. So, there's a lot going on here. And if we're able to really pinpoint what they're looking for and block out everything else, it won't be as overwhelming. Because once you know what they're looking for, everything else doesn't matter. They don't, if you're not looking for a resort style, if you're not looking for golf, well, they don't need to focus on Lakewood Ranch. Lakewood National or Esplanade. Doesn't matter. You need to focus on what they're looking for and their needs. So the great thing is just try to funnel it down to just a few communities where they're only really focusing on 2 or 3. 4 max, but typically 2 or 3 will really get them, a compare and contrast pro and con of each community for them to make the right decision. So you are valuable and you have to prove it every time. You have to prove it, whether it's new home construction, whether it's a resale, you have to prove your value. A lot of people think these days that you can go out and walk into a model center or call a for sale by owner and get the deal done. And a lot of folks find out the hard way that's not always what it's cracked up to be. There's a lot of stuff that is unknown to an inexperienced buyer, even a seller who tries to sell on their own. We all know that. So how do you show value when the buyer can just go into the model center and purchase it directly? It's really about representation. And how you explain that to a buyer is letting them know that they can walk into a model center and they can meet their future best friend. And that person could be a lifelong friend or whatever. But at the end of the day, they do not and will not and never will represent the buyer. They will always represent the seller. They are contractually obligated to represent the seller, and the seller is the builder. So there are plenty of really super nice, really accommodating, very transparent, very professional on-site sales reps. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, if things go sideways, they represent the seller. So it's you're of value when you're a problem solver. You need to be a problem solver. So, if something comes up, you got to know how to solve it. And sometimes that just involves calling the on-site sales rep, calling the sales manager, calling people and, being the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. So it's just really, you're of value no matter what. I think you're a shining star when you're the problem solver. Knowing the incentives, those change quite frequently. I think once I know we're going to 2 or 3 communities and we're not going there immediately, I'll usually call or stop by those communities talk to them. Hey, what, anything good, any incentives, what's your incentive this month? Because that does typically change month to month, and deal to deal. It's different if it's a to be built, and that's basically ground up, versus an inventory home, completed home. Anything in between is typically considered an inventory home, just not completed yet. So again, that changes. So after that, how do you negotiate? I think negotiating comes down to getting to know your on-site sales rep, asking him what's the best you can do, and maybe push a little harder. I think negotiating it's a lot different because you're really doing it with a buffer, and that's the on-site sales rep. Some communities or some builders operate basically as the on-site sales rep is really just a messenger. A lot of times, like for example, if you go into Lennar and you try to cut a deal with them, they're not going to say yes or no until they call their sales manager. And sometimes that sales manager has to call the sales director. So really what you're trying to do is you're trying to build relationships with these folks. So when they make the call, they're saying, hey, Nicholas is here, and they want to see if they can get the property for $15,000 under list, for example. So that helps when they're able to say, hey, Nicholas is in here. They know me. They know I know what I'm doing. They know I have experience. So any one of you listening today can be the same person. It's just a matter of where you want to spend your time. Where do you want to focus your energies on getting to know certain sales reps in certain communities? You could go right ahead and get to know one good sales rep in every single community. That's awesome. That's definitely helpful. It takes a lot of time, but if you know the majority of the people that you're bringing in as buyers are typically going to be your golf course resort style buyers, then maybe you focus a little more on building and maintaining the relationship with the on-site sales reps at those communities versus just a regular, we have a community pool and a grill kind of communities. That's completely up to you. So how do you stay useful and relevant once your buyer is under contract? The one thing I say to my buyers is, hey, I am your eyes, ears, and feet on the ground when it comes to your home being built. So if you have an out-of-state buyer that is like, man, I feel really weird going back to Ohio and having this house built. How do I know it's built right? All I typically say to these folks, to my buyers, is call or text me. Let me know if you want video walkthrough, just a video recorded and sent to you, pictures, anytime. And sometimes they'll ask for them, every 2 weeks, sometimes every month, sometimes never. It's just be resourceful for them. Be their eyes and ears and boots on the ground. Now, if they're in the area, they may not have time to go look at the home. They may be working, they may have family, they may not have time. So our job is to be that time for them, be their eyes and ears, just be there for them. So before the sale, how do you remain useful before the sale? Before the sale, you're useful because you know how to find what they're looking for. During the sale, it's really trying to kind of hold their hand through the process and help them to understand that, for example, the sales contract is a builder's contract. It's always going to favor the builder. It's always going to favor, it's never going to really truly favor the buyer. And they need to understand that, but there's really no way around that. You really can't go in with a FAR bar or an as-is contract and say, here you go. I've never seen it done. It doesn't mean it couldn't be, but the builders have a lot of liability and a lot of money out there on the dirt that needs to be protected. So they're going to use their own contract. And those contracts are not for the faint of heart. They're 60, 70, 80-page contracts. And knowing the on-site sales rep helps because you can help them through the process. Hey, my buyer is really concerned about the completion of the home. And they saw in the contract that the builder doesn't have to complete it for 2 years if they can't, help us through that. And, typically what they'll say is, we've never had to wait 2 years. The likelihood of us actually waiting 2 years is very unlikely. However, it's there to protect the builder. So that, little objection handlers that can help the buyer get through the process, just ease the worry. And then after the sale, following back up, hey, is warranty following up with you? Any issues with the home? Where have you guys gone to dinner lately? I mean, even get personal, hey, you're right down the street from a great restaurant. Have you gone there yet? Things like that. Just stay friendly, stay engaged, and remain a resource for them. And also ask them if any of their friends have visited and if they want to move here too, and how you can help them. That's asking for the referral. So hopefully you've given them just such an elated experience that they can't help but say, hey, we love Florida. We love XYZ agent. And when you guys move down here, definitely give him a call or have him, or he'll call you. Let me see if I can. Oops, hold on. Oh yeah, befriend an on-site sales rep. So choose one good sales rep per sales center. And I wouldn't say necessarily, I might have to change that, latch on. But get it, if it's someone that you get along with just on a personal level, or it's someone that you think you can trust and you can talk to and have a 10, 20-minute conversation with, not necessarily even about real estate, maybe just in general. That's always really great. That's really helpful. If you can walk into a sales center with some buyers and that person that you've gotten to know says, hey, Nicholas, and calls you by your first name, that's huge. That's huge. And I know it's huge because I've experienced it with buyers walking in and saying, oh, John's on today. Let's go see him and we'll see what he can do for us. Walk in, hey, Nicholas, how are you? Hey, John, well, how's it going? That's always great because first of all, you told them that you already know them. And secondly, you walk in and they really do know you. So it's about telling them what you know and then proving that you actually do. And just, be present, stay relevant. Though they're your micro info center. The Lakewood Ranch Info Center is your macro info center, and the on-site sales reps are your micro info center. Ask for them to keep you updated on the latest and greatest. Usually that just involves them you being on their email list. And just, they'll send updates to you and let you know when certain home sites are released, when certain phases are coming up, when there is an existing inventory home that has a great deal on it, things like that. I say visit them at least once a month. That may be hard to do these days, but if you can visit them to the best of your ability, definitely do that. And ask what's new there. Hey, since I came in last, what's new? What's been going on? Is the amenity center done? How far along are you with that? Are you going to be building nearby? Or is there a new phase going in? Is there a new community in general? I know going to Lakewood National, asking them, what's next in Lakewood Ranch. I knew about, I forget the name of it, but it's not Sapphire Point, but whatever that new community is right north of them. I knew about that about 6 months before they even announced it with Lakewood Ranch. So sometimes getting to know folks, you'll get kind of an inside track way before a lot of other people know. So it's helpful. It's not a huge advantage. It's just kind of good to know. Stay informed. These are sites, and I'm going to stay on this for a second so you guys can write this down, and then I'm going to take some questions because I went over a lot there. So sites to keep you informed about new home construction. Builderonline.com. It's kind of cool to see. It's more of a national email newsletter. Every now and then I'll see Neil communities in there highlighted with plans to build somewhere in Sarasota or Bradenton, sometimes Lakewood Ranch. And you just register in the top right there. Builders update, that's a good one too. And then all builder sign up pages. All builder sign up pages is good. There's usually a realtor tab there for you to sign up. And usually sometimes they have online concierge reps that send out kind of a bulk email about all their different communities. It's just good to get those, and it can be a little overwhelming. If you don't feel like it's of any value, you can just unsubscribe. But if those are good, and sometimes I'll keep them. And if I have someone who's interested in the community, I'll just go to the search bar in my email and just bring up all those emails that have been sent. And sometimes that's of value too. LakewoodRanch.com, I go there frequently, just because that's updated all the time. That's a really good resource, especially when you're on the phone with someone and you don't remember a community name. I think that, yeah, I'll take any questions you guys have. And I don't know if I can let me see if I need to unmute you. If anyone has a question and they want to, if they can unmute themselves, if they can't.
Hey, Nicholas, this is Lauren Hoffing.
Hey, Lauren.
Hi. Are builders actually offering any incentives right now because things are moving so fast?
The great question. Yeah, they are. So in my experience recently, what's been happening is a lot of times what they're doing is they're attaching the incentives to use their lender and use their title company. So they're trying to keep it in-house, and they'll offer X amount of dollars off of the purchase price or towards your closing costs, or both, based on you using their lender, which in my opinion isn't always the best route to go. But that's a discussion you can have with your buyers. And title. So yeah, they're really not, with the inventory being so low, they're not throwing out incentives just to get the sale done. Most of them are throwing out incentives if you use their lender and or their title company.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What are you finding also? What are the lead times for new builds? Is it 7 months? Is it a year? Does it depend on builder?
So it used to be a pretty solid, easy 6 months. It went up to 7 to 8, some of them 9. And I do see that coming down a little bit. It's actually really interesting if you want to follow it. If you want to follow the economy at all, it's interesting because it does directly affect the supply and demand of the builder's market. And I know that some of the Chinese tariffs and some of the Canadian tariffs, whether implemented or lifted, have materially affected the build times. I know the ability to get plywood was an issue in 2020. And then the cabinet makers. So those were two huge things. If you can't build without plywood, and you can't, even if it's particle, and you can't finish it without cabinets. So those were the biggest hangups. But right now, I'm seeing an average of 7 to 8 months. And it does depend per builder. Yes, it does, because a builder like Lennar, who's nationally built, they'll buy an entire, warehouse full of stuff, supplies. A local builder like Neil probably won't do that. They'll probably buy, bulk, but they won't buy it as a high volume as a builder like Lennar. So
that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. And one thing I didn't mention, I must have taken it out of this presentation, but There is a difference between a local privately owned builder and a national privately owned builder and a nationally publicly traded builder. And when I say publicly traded, I mean literally New York Stock Exchange. Builders like Pulte and Lennar, for example, those are publicly traded companies. So they have they answer to the shareholders. And some of you on this call may actually be shareholders of those companies. Not a bad idea. But they have a different way of doing business. And they really push to get those year-end deals done to boost their numbers legitimately, to show results, to show growth in the company. So intel for you, Lennar's fiscal year end is November. Every year it's November. So what do they need in November? Closings, a ton of them, like record closings. They have to either catch up or blow out of the water, or try to do both. And they push. So the best time of the year to get a good deal from a builder like Lennar would be to get under contract on a home that's either almost done or existing, completed inventory home in October. And if you can get it somehow closed in November, I would say maybe the first week in November. That's pushing it. But October, they are pushing. They want to get these sales done. If you can find, and this is actually maybe just a piece of investor advice. If anyone on this call is an investor, is that if you want the best deal on a new construction home from a builder like Lennar, find something that's been sitting there for a couple of months, and go under contract in October for a November closing. Get the best deal. I mean, they'll discount it. They need it off their books. They want to show the best possible numbers they can to Wall Street. So, and I only know this from conversation with people. It's just a matter of talking to people about it. And I mean, even when once you get to know a number of people, you may even see them out somewhere, and you may talk with them a little bit and get an intel there. It doesn't mean you have to always stop by where they work. You could always go out and, grab a coffee, grab a drink, grab some dinner with them or something, and just talk with them, and just be friends with them. And that's your choice, whoever you feel comfortable, being friends with and getting to know a little more about it. It's just advantageous for me because I've not only been in the industry, but I see a lot of those on-site sales reps and sales managers and a lot of those folks out and about. And I get a chance to talk with them every now and then, outside of their communities. And I do get some interesting information from them. So none of it's a mystery. It's just a matter of knowing it. None of it's confidential. It's just a matter of, getting the information. Any other questions? Well, I'll tell you what, guys, if you have any questions along the way, let me see if I can type in my. I'm going to type in my contact info here, because if you guys have any questions along the way with new construction, hey, I have a new buyer in town, they're looking for this, this, and this, what do I do? Any questions you guys have along the way, hey, I went to, this community and experienced this, So that's my email and phone number. Feel free to call me anytime or just email me if you have any questions. Anything new that you experience, anything, I guess, just anything. I'm your resource for this market center for new construction. So any questions you guys have, feel free to contact me.
Thank you so much. This was great.
Yeah, you're very welcome, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, Nick.
You too.
Thanks, guys.